No one could be rich without somebody being poor. Poe got rap. Diamonds in that trash can, baby, they been dying to hate me. I've been riding lately in the 30, going 80, knowing God made me. Laws try to chase me, falls never break me. Cause it's diamonds in that trash can, baby, they been dying to hate me. I've been riding lately in the 30, going 80, knowing God made me. Laws try to chase me.
So we got a special guest in the building today, a close friend of mine. He goes by the name of Rob-1. It's been a while since we sat down and kicked it, man. It's good to see you, man. How you been?
Man, good to see you too, my brother, man. I've been great, man. Can't complain.
How was that breakfast, man?
Oh, man, thank you. It was off the chain. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do what I can, you know.
Yeah, homemade waffles, huh?
Yeah, when I get a chance to, you know, with the weekly schedule, you know, if my wife ain't here, you know, it's rare that I actually cook a little bit of breakfast, but, you know, I get down every once in a while.
Okay. Man, I don't never cook breakfast, man.
Hey, man, I done been through a couple times. You tried to whip up a little something, man. I'm going to give you more credit than that, but, you know, it's good to see you. You working like always. You got a new album about to drop.
Yeah. Diamonds in the trash can.
Diamonds in the trash can. Before we get to what you are currently working on, man, let's go back a little bit, because I met you in the process of you doing writing about a hard life. The Revolution days. That was one of the first songs that was on my radar that I heard, and I was like, man, he's got something. Go back before then to a song that you felt like, at this point, I can start pushing my music.
Yeah, so I would say me, Moon.
Shout out Moon.
Shout out Big Moon. These guys from Bloomington. We ended up doing a mixtape called The Lazy World, and we played it for a bunch of people at the job, and they was messing with it. That's when I realized, like, oh, okay, like, people actually like the music that I make. So that was like that was all the validation I needed right there for me to gain confidence in, as far as like getting other people's approval. After that, like, I didn't care what anybody thought, you know.
I can relate to that, being an artist myself. In terms of shows, because I feel like this was around 2010-ish, 11-ish when I met you. When did you do your first show?
I mean, I guess it depends on like what you would define as a show. I've done like open mics, you know, as far as like the shows that you and I used to put on, you know, something. So I would say like my first headlining show, I'll say that was the release for Writing About a Hard Life.
Okay, 400 bar?
400 bar, you know, or, you know, actually I'm mistaken. Right before that, it was a show that me and Moon did. That was, it was like it was like pre-Writing About a Hard Life. So it was like a few songs off that project. And it was just, you know, Tom, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Over at the 400 bar was letting us know, like, hey, you know, if you guys want this venue, you know what I'm saying, I can make it happen for you. You know, he bought food, the whole nine. It was called Don't Cut Me Off, because that was just the song that I just recorded and did a video to. And that turned out good, you know, way better than I expected. You know, we made like $800, you know what I'm saying, spent probably 300 some bucks. So, you know, nice little profit, but that was the first time me seeing like how to make money off of performing, you know.
And he's actually responsible for the first show that I ever put together in 2011. So definitely shout out to him for putting a lot of artists in the city on and giving them an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I don't think people realize how many artists have different processes when it comes to writing. Like, I feel like my process in writing is a lot different than yours, and I want to talk about that just a little bit. I did Creative Freedom. Your last album was Quiet Waters. I'm the type of artist that I go on a streak maybe of 2-3 months where I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
So after I did Creative Freedom, got motivated out of nowhere right after that, and then me and you put together the Vintage Collection. I haven't wrote since March.
Wow.
And that's kind of how my process is. When I'm in a groove,
Yeah.
I just go on the streak, but I'll stop right after I'm done. Whereas you're an artist that writes year round.
Yeah.
You go to the studio year round. So explain that process to the people.
Well, I would say like I've always wanted to create music since I first heard my voice. And when now that I'm at a point in my life where I'm comfortable enough to be able to go to a studio, have someone who's willing to record me, where I can book studio time and do things like that, do what I want. Um, I don't see me not I don't see there not being a time where I'm not like writing or in the studio. So my process is basically like, how it's like a timestamp in my life. It's like what's going on in my life. Every song that I make or that I listen back to, I can figure out where I was in my life.
That's the beauty of music too.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Is when you write something, whether it was a bad relationship, a good time in your life, you
Yeah.
remember exactly where your mind was when you were writing certain things. I think that's the beauty in music. Sometimes it's the ugly side too, because it's things that you don't remember. But you know, from a writing process, I know with me, I'll write a couple bars here and there, come back to it. You got some people who write entire songs during one sit-in. So how's that process for you?
I do both. I'm definitely more comfortable with writing on the spot. Uh,
Facts.
because I overthink a lot of things most of the time. And when it comes to my music, I like that to be one of the things I don't overthink because it means so much to me. So I like to go off a gut feeling, as that some people would say.
Okay. And I think around 2014, when I linked up with you and we did Dreams,
Uh-huh.
and that kind of sparked everything. You were working on Poor Guy Rap,
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite projects of yours.
Thank you, man.
I guess if people don't know, I don't know how they can miss it, but you have the Poor Guy Rap movement going on right now.
Yeah.
You got the trash cans, you got the shirts. I mean, anywhere you can stick that Poor Guy Rap logo, you sticking it in it, and it's a genius idea in terms of marketing. But explain the origins of Poor Guy Rap and why that means so much to you.
Yeah. I mean, so I had to find something that was positive, that reflected on my upbringing. You know, there's tons of people can speak on like how they feel like they poor or they've lived a life of being poor, and then there's people who can't. And all I wanted this to represent was, like the mantra of Poor Guy Rap is like, nobody can be rich without somebody being poor. And that's basically just bringing everybody together and saying, hey, like we all in this together. And like, if you gonna proclaim one thing, just know you can't proclaim that without something else existing. So like you want to be rich, I get it. I want to be rich too. But it's me recognizing that, someone has to be poor in order for you to be rich. And if you look deeper into that, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I guess it really don't matter, necessarily what you have, but more like who are you? You know what I'm saying? What does your character say about you? So yeah, basically it represents the struggle for sure. I speak about coming up out of the trash can, or hence coming from the bottom. The dirt. Man, I really came from that. And my stories and my testimonies and my music speaks on that. And yeah, I'll never forget about it, and I want to make sure that anyone who listens to my music don't forget about it either.
I think one thing, and I think sometimes the consumer doesn't understand this, is I think a lot of us come from bad, tough circumstances. And I think even when you achieve a little success,
Hmm.
people think you're supposed to forget about those things because they're not glamorous.
Yeah.
I think no matter how much success I've had or will continue to have, um, that's always in the back of my mind is my upbringing and where I came from and how quickly it can go back to that.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be careful while you looking down at others,
Yep.
you know, and you need to understand that it's just a split second from going back to being in that place. So I think the movement that you got going with that, man, has been amazing, you know,
Thank you.
and sometimes we just don't know sometimes what we capable of or how far something can go, because when Poor Guy Rap came out, loved the project, didn't see the clothes, didn't
Hmm.
see the trash can. And that's the beautiful thing. Like sometimes you think something is only going to go so far and then it becomes a movement. So I just wanted you to kind of touch on that and what that means to you.
Yeah. I mean, I excuse me.
Sound good?
But I have a ton of people to thank for that. Um, there's people that's been in my life that have encouraged me, that have showed me like, yo, like, we rocking with this. If I see somebody, take a picture of a sticker they seen on a poster, or not on the poster, but like on a pole or something, and be like, oh, shout out to Poor Guy Rap, or I seen your sticker here, or I seen somebody wearing your shirt here, oh, I seen your trash can here. It's like, yeah, I appreciate that. And it makes me want to strive for more, and we do got a lot of things in the works that's going to be happening. But as far as like what it means to me to, build this movement, um, if anybody know how I feel about like the concept of being a king, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, I was talking to a friend of mine who was, he's big on, king energy, the whole blam. And I'm like, yo, like, I don't rock like that. I'm always like the person that's like, yo, that whole idea of being a king is, ridiculous to me, And so he's like, yo, well, with Poor Guy Rap,
Mm-hmm.
and that being your movement, you being the first person to do this, first rapper to sell trash cans, things of that nature, you a king in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't disagree with him, and I had to be like, wow, like, basically looked at it from a different angle. So with this brand and with this movement, like, it's taught me a lot of things as well. Taught me to go against things that I thought were, morally correct, according to me, and just got me to look outside the box and be like, oh, hey.
Maturation,
Yeah.
maturing, man, and looking at things from a different perspective, man.
Yeah, man.
That's what's up. Um, One of the biggest things about you, or one of your staples, is you're outspoken when it comes to race, our
Hmm.
history, politics, a lot of that stuff. I think your music is stamped with that in a lot of ways. With everything that's gone on in this last year or so,
Hmm.
I want to get your perspective on things like the George Floyd situation. And do you think we're seeing real change right now occurring? And just what are your thoughts overall on everything that's been going on?
Um, well, yeah, man, it's unfortunate, that this is something that we even have to talk about. Um, as I'm like, from when I was in the city a lot, I'm out there all the time whenever things like this happen. And not necessarily to like, show face or anything like that, but I feel a responsibility of to be a part of it.
And that's why I even brought this up with you, because there are a lot of people that is doing this for other reasons. But if anybody has anything that they want to question, they can go back and listen to your catalog and understand that you've been about this before all this was trending.
Absolutely, and yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like I say on the vintage collection, like, I've been telling them this. I've been saying this, and it's not to like, knock or diss anyone who has found out or feel like they, hey, that's good for you. Like, now, what are you gonna do about it? It's and it's not like a catching up game or anything like that. And as far as me like seeing any real change happening right now with everything that's happened, no, nothing's changed. I can't say that. I would like to see more of I would like to see more people who look like me out there, and that's not a knock or a diss to anyone who doesn't look like me that's out there. I'm just saying, like, that's that's part of the discomfort and not seeing, or that's part of the discomfort in what's going on, because it's like, man, these things are happening to us. Like, I got to wake up and still be, what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So no, I don't see any change. It's definitely unfortunate. And it's still, fuck the police. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
Shit.
Um, I guess what I would say is that's the tough part of this whole thing is trying to figure out who's genuine
Yeah.
and who's doing this to go viral.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with Jack, and I said, I don't think it's any coincidence that in sports and entertainment, wherever you look, they're all of a sudden pushing black people to the forefront
Yeah.
because of what happened. And it's like, you wouldn't have done that if the world wasn't put on notice by what happened in the last year or so. So now it's like, in order for me to make money, even more money, to sell this, to sell that, let me put somebody black at the forefront so everybody can believe that I'm down.
Yeah. And that's even more disappointing. It's like, it's worse than a spit in the face. It's like, that's, and it's one of them things, like, I have nothing against no movement or anything. At the same time, when there's a, when it seems like, we're being controlled by, the dollar, or fame, or whatever it is that um, seems like us as a people want, we end up getting controlled by that, instead of, building our own and doing our own, and, not necessarily taking what's ours, but, you know, uh, being open to our blessings. We blessed people, man.
Absolutely. Um, you dropped the album back in December, November and December, classic albums in succession. Quiet Waters.
Yeah.
And for me, it was so special to see you controlling a room at the album release party.
Mm.
Everybody had come for this special moment, and it's a moment that will always be in my mind, because I remember just sitting there and looking at the progress, looking at how far you came from when we first linked up to Quiet Waters, which I feel like is your best album. Um, Reflect a little bit on Quiet Waters before we move forward.
Well, yeah. So I would, yeah, Quiet Waters is a great album. Where do I place it in my discography? I would say second or third. But as far as like reflecting on it, it speaks on, it's another timestamp, a reminder. Um, it's a revelation to me, as far as like with, how I am with the number three, and all of that. Speaking on God a lot, which I've, naturally I've gotten closer to. Um, Especially with this next project, when people hear it, it's a lot of that, and even I was just speaking to you a moment ago about what I feel like I'm going to title the next project, you know. So with Quiet Waters, I would say it was definitely like the first project that I worked on for that time, for that long of a time, and yeah, that was the only project I came out with, and it was in 2020. It was almost like I had to come out with something powerful
With everything that was going
with
on.
everything that was going on, and I'm in the midst of all of it. Like I'm literally at the forefront of everything that's going on. I'm having conversations with people who are, making decisions on what's going to be happening for the next few years in the city and things like that. And Quiet Waters was representative of, definitely my whole life, and me saying like, hey, with everything that's going on, you know, and also me like recognizing God. And with everything that's going on, it's like, you know, I recognize the quiet waters. Like I see that there is a God, you know. Um, and yeah, I think it, you know, it wasn't necessarily like a religious album, but if I was to look at it from every project that I've made and how it relates to everything that I've made, that it's my most religious album for sure. You know, it's got the prayer on there from Psalms at the end, and at the beginning is speaking about, how, you know, the how basically, man, white America or the West, you know what I'm saying, would influence us to thinking something is this way. And really, like, if we look at what's been documented thousands of years ago, we would recognize that we're more powerful than, you know, how they view us, you
And I
know.
think in general, it's one of those examples of don't believe it just because somebody's telling you it.
Absolutely.
We do that so much. I've been guilty of it. Do your research
Hmm.
and then come to the conclusion. Don't just listen to what somebody's saying is, okay, I got to take this. This is the truth. There's no excuse for you not to be able to go back and do that now. So I think the crazy thing, and I think you can relate to this as a fellow artist, is when you're making an album, it's like a roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
You're going up, up, up. Then you get to the peak. And then when it's done, you go down.
Oof.
And I'm saying that to say this. So I dropped Creative Freedom in November.
Hmm.
You drop Quiet Waters in December. You reach that high and you're like, I'm going to chill for a little while. At least that's how I be feeling. And then the Vintage Collection
Yeah.
comes about. So what are some of the things that you remember from the process of making the Vintage Collection with myself?
Oh man. Well, you know, whenever like me and you make music, it's different. You know, it's as they would say, steel sharpen steel. Uh, you know, even on the vintage collection, like you say, I remember you coming over and telling me like you know what I'm saying, feel like I'm speaking more on, you know, mortality, you know, and I didn't even realize that until I listened back to it and was like, wow, you know. And I think that's for me, like, you know, like I say, from Quiet Waters, it's these steps, you know, and it's not that I'm stepping down, I'm literally stepping up, you know, like, because getting closer to God is like stepping up. And I don't want to, like, right now as I'm talking, it seems like I'm like on like a whole religious vibe. You know, I don't practice no religion. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, you know what I'm saying, I just I know that there's a God, you know, and I pray daily.
I think you spoke on it earlier about time period pieces.
Yeah.
And I think our job as artists is to put people into our mind or how we were feeling at the time. That's
Mm.
not to say that we're going to be feeling like that forever, but I think if you listen to the verses, people can see, you know, by listening where you were at. And I think as an artist, that is our job to put people, you know, in our mind space and go through what we going through while they listening.
Yeah. You know, yeah, and I only want them to like go, not like go through it in the mind. That's all, you know, like you say, like, yeah, we take them to those times. And you know, I would say a lot of people, you know, for instance, like me introducing my music to new people who haven't heard it, and the songs that they come back with to me that they like end up being songs that I'm like, oh well, yeah, that's a great song, and yeah, it means something, but it's tied to multiple things within the project, you know. And I think that's one of the things I want people to do is like get more in tune with listening to the whole project. And you know, I've always been like that outside of the music we make. Like when I listen to music, I like to listen to the whole project because I want the whole story, you know. I don't want just bits and pieces, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm interested, I'm fully interested.
I think one of my favorite parts about your music, it drives me crazy sometimes. And I tell you this, it's like you give people tidbits sometimes. Like you give them a line here and it's like, man,
Yeah.
elaborate on that.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? You know, because you threw a lot of that with your rhyming, but I think music depends on the listener. How you interpret it is how you interpret it. But like that's definitely one of my favorite things because you'll say the smallest thing and I'll recite it to you. And you probably like to you it was insignificant. It was like it was a line. But to me,
Yeah.
this is how I took it. So I think that's the fun thing about music in general. But man, Vintage Collection for me was fun. We did something we've never done before. We recorded the whole project in like 4.5 hours.
See, I even forgot about that. Like that's wild.
Yep, 4.5 hours and didn't go back and do it, redo anything. And you know how I am about
Yep.
perfecting. So it was so hard, but listening back to it, it's like one of those things like you don't think sometimes that you might be capable of, and then you do it and it's like, man, I did that. And I think Black Apple with Stilo,
Shout out to Stilo.
shout out to Stilo, that kind of planted the seed for the Vintage Collection because
Mm.
I think that kind of made us look at it differently. Like if we can knock all this out and it be quality in a short amount of time, why not do it? So I think that's definitely a great project. And let's talk about what you got going on right now. Diamonds in the Trash Can. When can the people be expecting it? How is it? And I know how you are about release dates. when can people expect it? And how much different, if at all, is this from any of your other projects?
Yeah. I mean, as far as they'll get it, before 2022.
Y'all get it before 2022.
But no, it's really close. It's really close. It's actually, it's actually done. Waiting on a couple things, but what people can expect from it is, it's titled "Diamonds in the Trash Can." A lot of people interpret that as, a diamond in the rough, and like, oh, are you the diamond that's in the rough? And it's like, like you say, like that's the good thing about music. Like, I like to give people something that can draw a lot of different, scenarios from it. On this project, what I've recognized is, again, I'm speaking a lot about God, speaking a lot about strippers, speaking a lot about, relationships.
That sounds random. Strippers.
Well, I mean, my lifestyle has changed a bit these past few years.
And that's what I would say the most that I got from Quiet Waters. You can hear the shift
Yeah.
in your life, what was going on in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Diamonds in the Trash Can, it speaks on, lots of relationships that I've had with different people and how it affected my life and what I did to overcome, not necessarily bad situations, but just situations in general, rather good or bad. Diamonds in a trash can is like a stamp to being like, hey, like, something can seem like, saying it like it's going bad or it's garbage, but there's gems in there. You got to be willing to, dig deep, so I think like that's like probably the best explanation for it is like, I just want people to dig deep and digest exactly what I'm saying and, get to know me, because I can be a quiet person. Seems crazy, you know what I'm saying? Because when people like kick it with me or this, that, or people who know me and they be like, yo, you quiet? Like, no, yeah. Like I'm more of an observer than a talker. You know what I'm saying? So, and
I think with you, it's always deeper than just surface level.
mm-hmm.
I don't think that is a name and it's like, that's exactly what it is. With you, it's always a deeper meaning behind the things that you do. But
Yeah, that's why niggas should watch what they do to me, man. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? How they treat me,
you heard it here. I know you got a video, a visual that's coming out as well. I'm actually finna watch it when we get done with this, so I get the exclusive. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
But that's one of the perks of being part of the team. But I look forward to hearing the album. I haven't heard anything in its entirety. So I
Yeah.
look forward to getting a chance to listen to it and give you my review on it. But I appreciate you sitting down with me.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
Open,
Anytime.
Opening up and letting people out there that might not know you, know a little bit more about you. So we're going to be looking out for that Diamonds in the Trash Can, and we're going to get up out of here.
No one could be rich without somebody being poor. Poe got rap. Diamonds in that trash can, baby, they been dying to hate me. I've been riding lately in the 30, going 80, knowing God made me. Laws try to chase me, falls never break me. Cause it's diamonds in that trash can, baby, they been dying to hate me. I've been riding lately in the 30, going 80.